Alright, I'll be talking about how a DCC system works. Well, in order to really understand the difference between DC and DCC, you first have to understand the basics of DC. Well, DC, I have two tracks. This is a cab B, this is a cab A. I'm not using the A cab right now. But DC, basically, whatever this knob is at is how much power is in the tracks. If I raise it up, it goes faster. If I slow it down, it goes slower. So very simple. So one of the biggest drawbacks to DC is A1, the control, because let's just say this is one track and another train going this way. I have to mess around with the blocks, because I just shut off one of the blocks, which may not work. Oh, that's also why. I'm also using the wrong. As soon as I flip the switch, it dies. And so that would allow you to have another train coming from another direction. But the thing is, you have to time those so well, because if you were to be, because I have my other block over here. Where is it? Block is, I'm trying to find the plastic rubber. It is right here. So if I were to have passed this point, it would not matter. So it's one of the biggest drawbacks when in terms of running single track with DC. It can be done, but also the wiring is a lot more complex as a drawback, because all these red wires have to go to a separate point on the rails underneath, and all along here is all different wire just to power the trains. Now DCC, on the other hand, is a lot simpler, because DCC was originally started with Lionel. One of its first variations of it was back in the 1940s, which really didn't work too well, and there was a lot of drawbacks with it, or it didn't really like to work as well as it does now. And then it really kind of showed it back up in the 1970s, but again, there was no commonality of like how the systems work. So you could have one brand using one type, and then you could just see how not being compatible with each other was a problem. So I'm getting my DCC set up now, because all I have to do with mine is it's dual. I just gotta hook it up real quick. But wiring is a lot more simple. Still need in. I just need to get the cab going. It's gonna be a second. So, one of the more interesting things with DCC is it runs off AC current instead of the usual DC. And this engine does have sound. So the way DCC works is, well, I gotta switch the locomotive. So I have a cheat button, but yeah, every button for at least most of the buttons, depending on what the manufacturer's program, will set a different function. So the way a decoder works is this cab will send signals into the track, which is converted by the decoder into what it needs to do, as well as also converting the current over to DC for the motor. So if I hit horn, bell, headlight, which I can't really show right now. But yeah, I start moving it, which is 2 speeds does, because this engine really does not like to move under 1. It starts moving. So all it is the controller is sending a signal between. I'm turning on the headlight for a second, but yeah, headlight on, headlight off. Some of them do have a dual headlight, but still, I mean, DCC isn't going to be your solution for everything. A1, your track's dirty. You have bad electric connection. That ain't going to solve anything, unfortunately. I mean, it would be nice if it did, but it doesn't. So the nice thing is, with DCC, so I could have single track, I could be running 2 trains independently, even on one cab technically. So there is a recall button where I can flip. But one of the other nice things is I'll get my another engine on the track to demonstrate. Which was just shorten a little bit there. But yeah, it's just because I have rail touching each other. But let's just say I switch to the other engine I have out. So that engine moves by itself. So now, on DC, both of these engines are going to be moving at the same time. So I have independent control. But if I go to make a consist, I just gotta set it up real quick. But what I'm basically doing is I'm allowing the decoders to communicate with each other in order to yeah, it just jolts a little bit. But now these two locomotives are going to communicate with each other for speed. And you kind of notice that the coupler will jolt a little bit and then it'll back off. Because automatically the decoders will speed match each other to the best of their ability. So they're constantly going to be talking to each other with sending signals to each other saying, hey, I need you to go faster, I need you to slow down. So basically what you get is more or less a synchronized, easy control. And yeah, also... Okay, I found a dead spot, whatever. Yeah, I'm just going to shut off the sound. Which, yeah, that is a nice feature with some of the sound. Not every decoder has sound. It's like another additional gimmick feature that's on there. Not really needed. But yeah, it basically just streamlines the operation. But overall, I mean, DCC is definitely becoming, I think, more unique in a way. Because I can grab my... find it real quick. I have one that doesn't have its screws in right now, so it's actually easy to show off a decoder. About to show off. So yeah, this is what the brains of one of these things looks like. Because this is your PVC board. This is the brains right here. That's the decoder, because this is just for lighting and everything. Which, yeah, okay, one of the lighting features died, so... One of the features doesn't work because it had a wire break, and then I tried to fix it. That ain't the look of the decoder. But yeah, these are what these things are. There's a speaker here. This is the speakers here. All sound ones have speakers. But yeah, definitely, I've even noticed in the hobby, a lot of it's gone to less DC, which is just, you know, standard. But now they're starting to put pins in these, which unfortunately I can't really show off easy. But basically, it would basically be a plug slot for, usually I think this is like a 21 pin, I believe. But they'd have a pin slot already for you to place in the decoder very easy, so you can basically plug it in, get any additional speakers in there if you want them, and then you're good to go. So, for example, this locomotive I know for a fact is DCC ready. So they come DC. So all it is just it makes it easier to convert. This would not be DCC ready. This, I know, I've looked into actually converting this. They don't, it's a little bit harder to convert them, usually requiring a little bit more skill. But yeah, all these DC engines can be converted over, which is a definite positive, but was also kind of a drawback at the same time. I mean, overall, DCC is much better than DC. Until you get to the price. The price, I think, really sets it back, but I think over time, it's going to drop. And if anyone's wondering, just out in general, what years these were made. So this is very more modern. This is probably within the last 5 years. And then the one in front is actually from 2006. So just the difference of which is fine. That's like I mentioned earlier, dead spots with bad electrical connection doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have good, you have to have good electrical connection. That's the only way to do it. Yeah, one more thing I just wanted to add, even though I've already said that, yeah, it's not positive or anything. DCC, I'd say, because even the age recommendation's been going up for about 10 years now, because it started about 8 years old, and then it's now more or less 14, because it's DCC, especially with all the more complex wiring. It's becoming more, you know, more of an adult hobby, like high school, middle school, starting that as a starting age. But there's less and less of these big, massive DC layouts just because of the ease of DC and just the ease of operation, where you can actually have people walking around constantly watching their trains instead of sitting at one spot, which also gives you the ease of, oh no, something derailed. But yeah, I mean, I just learned a little bit of additional, like, why DCC is better. But I mean, overall, like I said earlier, DCC just streamlines basically everything. I mean, okay, the electrical problems, you can't fix that in DC or DCC. It's just something that's there. So overall, I'd definitely say, yeah, DCC is definitely a net positive for model railroading.